Good day, everyone. Meteorologist Mark Molnar here. How's everybody getting along? Well, we have some major changes in the forecast. Yep, the models have flipped again. Surprise, surprise. This has been happening all winter. We're going to first take a look at a massive severe weather outbreak that's going to occur Friday here across parts of the South. We're going to be looking at areas mainly across parts of Louisiana, Arkansas, and Mississippi. This is going to be quite an event. Tornadoes, damaging wind, large hail. You can see, look what's going on in the upper atmosphere at 500 millibars here. You have this massive jet moving in, and any of these stronger thunderstorm cells are going to be able to mix those winds down to the surface. Plus, there's going to be a lot of veering of winds with height. And if we continue to put this into motion here, take a look at this. Yeah, this storm's going to push to the northeast here, push a big old blast of warm air to the northeast. And then as we continue to go out here in time, things have actually gotten a bit quieter for next week. If we take a look, it's a bit more powerful out here in the plains, and ultimately, you know what that means. This is right around the 31st, so what exactly happened to that potential storm around the 28th? Well, you can see it's kind of like an open wave. You got two pieces of energy here, and they're basically coming off the coast like this without any phasing or fanfare. Both the GFS and the Euro have done this as well, so not to say it's completely off our radar at this point, but, you know, the models have flipped off of it. This is not too surprising. And then look at what happens later next week into early April here, the 1st of April. A very similar situation, although the low's going a little bit further to the north here. Probably another severe weather update likely. Let's get into it. So severe weather, it's going to be a horribly active day, especially after, say, 3 or 4 p.m. for severe weather. The rare moderate variety here across parts of Louisiana, Arkansas, and western part of Mississippi, in a very large area of enhanced risk of severe weather. But the thing that's most concerning is the tornado threat. This is getting up into that rare 15% variety here. Please heed the watches and warnings, especially later Friday into Friday night. All right, so the key to this severe weather outbreak is going to be this low-level jet. Watch this later Friday. So yeah, it looks pretty impressive there in parts of Arkansas, but watch what happens to this. This is right around, you know, this is going to be 8, 9, 10 p.m. Friday evening. This is where this low-level jet, right around 850 millibars, any of these stronger cells that get going, they're going to tap into the 65 to close to 80 knot wind gusts up here. And this is going to bring down, along with the forward speed of these thunderstorms racing to the northeast at 65, 75 mile an hour. Look at what's going to happen. So you're going to have the tremendous veering of winds with height, and it's going to get some of these thunderstorms rotating. Let's take a look at the timeline here. So taking a look at the severe weather timeline here, yeah, on Thursday evening, you are going to be looking at some severe thunderstorms, more on the regular severe weather, and some training effects. I'll just go over that momentarily with you. Flooding problems up in this area, and I'll show you that momentarily, but I'm going to turn my attention here to an area that's going to be the major problem. So as we head throughout, you know, Friday morning, it's not going to be too bad in this area, south of Little Rock. So you're going to get that daytime heating. What's going to really start to come to fruition here is what's going on back across parts of eastern part of Oklahoma and Arkansas. That energy is going to dive southward here, and as I showed you, that low-level jet's going to come into play at the perfect peak heating time, late afternoon, early evening. So watch this. This is 4 p.m. You're probably going to be wondering, if you're down in Louisiana, well, where are the storms? Well, right now, at this point, 4 p.m., Friday, the 24th here, they'll be just west of Little Rock. And yes, they're going to be pretty screaming to the east here. Massive amounts of damaging wind, large hail, frequent lightning. And here's where the isolated tornado threat comes into effect. Initially, it will be isolated, but it's going to really fill in. And I think by 6, 7 p.m. in the evening, it's going to become a widespread potential here. And you notice this line, it's kind of got some embedded thunderstorms within it. And look at the supercells developing out ahead of this. They're going to be racing to the northeast over this low-level jet, so to speak. So we're going to see this low-level jet really come into play and rotate these thunderstorms, essentially the veering of the wind with height. And look at this. Look at the timestamp here, 7 p.m. This is where the ingredients really come together. I'm going to show you the SigTor parameters momentarily, along with the Cape and Supercell parameters. But look at this. Yeah, we're really filling in these strong to severe thunderstorms. And let's continue along the timeline here. It's not going to get any better. In fact, it's going to get a lot worse before it gets any better. I don't have any good news here. Mainly from Alexandria on northward here. Jackson, Mississippi, yes, along the Mississippi River up here, and I would not rule you out here in the parts of western part of Tennessee as well. So there could be some strong storms as far north as parts of western Kentucky. Please don't get your guard down in these areas. It is going to be a nasty one. And look at this. This is by 10 p.m. We still got this severe weather, the supercells out ahead of it, Tupelo, Mississippi, all the way up into parts of Tennessee. But look at this. The southern part of the line becoming very ominous here. This is where you could really see this fill in and the potential for tornadoes. As I said before, I'm really, really worried about this area as we head into the late evening, into the overnight. We start to get into this nocturnal tornado situation, and that's going to continue. This is midnight, Friday night. We're going to head on into early Saturday morning. I still think there's going to be a pretty big tornado threat here through 1 a.m. So if you're anywhere from Jackson, northeastward to Tupelo, Florence, and even Nashville, Bowling Green, up into Louisville, Kentucky, I would not rule you out, although this becomes more of a flash flood event up here in the parts of Cincinnati, so please stay tuned to that as well. But look at this, as we head across parts of northern Alabama, this is where it becomes a damaging straight line wind event. 2 a.m., 4 a.m., look at this, 5 a.m., yeah, Atlanta, you could be waking up to some thunder and high winds across your area around 6 a.m. So, yeah, this line's going to head to the east. Look how far to the north it goes. I'll get to the northern part momentarily here, and I'll show you what's going to happen in parts of the Ohio Valley in the northeast. But look at this. Yeah, this line eventually heads east at weekends, but we could be looking at a continued severe threat diving towards the panhandle of Florida into parts of southern Georgia and South Carolina. All right, so what I'm going to show you here is the SigTor parameter. This is really gives us a good idea of, potential for tornadoes and, and the rotation with height. So as we get into the 24th here, Friday, 8 a.m., 9 a.m., it does not look that impressive, but just bear with me here. We'll get into 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m. Take a look at this. Here across eastern Texas, parts of southern Arkansas, this is where things start to become a little bit of a problem. I want you to watch this area as we continue to go in time. So here we go. We are at 4 p.m. You're probably going to be wondering, okay, when's it going to really start? So things really start to explode as these thunderstorm cells really start to ramp up on this parameter. Look at SigTor parameter ramping up big time here. So as we get into these values, the 2, 3, 4, getting into the yellows, the oranges, and even the reds, this is where central Louisiana is going to become ground zero for some very, very, very significant tornado threats here. And let's continue to go in time here. This is just 7 p.m., so this is not at the height of this potential outbreak. Look at this as we head towards the Mississippi River. If you're in this area, any thunderstorm could rotate and cause some serious problems from Greenville down to Alexandria here. So definitely keep an eye to the sky. Definitely don't plan anything outdoors for that matter. And look at that. That heads east throughout the night. It becomes a little bit more narrow of a band as we head across Mississippi. Now, the thing is, how far into Alabama is this going to get? Well, thankfully, it becomes more of a straight line damaging linear threat at this point. You can see it's kind of elongated here from Meridian up to Tuscaloosa. So at this point, we're looking at more damaging straight line winds throughout early Saturday morning. Now I wanted to show you the Supercell composite, how this really lines up with the SigTor parameter. We head throughout the day, or the evening for that matter, on Friday. Look at this. Right across central part of Louisiana, the supercells correlate very nicely here to the SigTor parameter. And that's why Louisiana could be like ground zero for this massive tornado outbreak. And I don't want to discount you here into parts of southeastern part of Arkansas and then heading over towards Jackson, Mississippi as well. So please, please heed those watches and warnings that go into effect. You see, this is towards midnight up over by Tupelo, and that goes over the border into Alabama, but thankfully starts to weaken and becomes more of a linear threat. And I wanted to very briefly show you the Cape here. Take a look at this. Yeah, convective available potential energy. It really starts to increase here into parts of the yellow shading here across East Texas. Let's get a timestamp on this. You can see this is right around 7 p.m. So this is correlating right in the area of Louisiana by this point. It's just not looking good. I don't really want to scare anybody, but if you're in this area, please heed the warnings. You notice the Cape doesn't go too far to the north of this line, though. So we will have thunderstorm activity to the north, and it'll be interesting to see if things stabilize a little bit more. But even in this red circle here, I'm going to still put you in the area to still watch, even though you're on the northern edge. But definitely if you're in Louisiana, into parts of Mississippi here, please keep an eye on those warnings. So one aspect of the storm that's really concerning too is the training effect that's going to go out of the northern edge of this outside the severe weather. Take a look at this as we head through. Look at this. This is mostly Friday, Thursday night, Friday night into early Saturday. Yeah, if you take a look at some of these numbers here on our scale, this is going to be upwards. You get towards the oranges, that's closer to 4 inches and closer to 5 inches. You're getting into north of Little Rock here, up towards south of St. Louis, and here across parts of Kentucky, and then southern parts of Ohio, a solid 2.5 to 3.5 inches of rain. So this is a big concern from eastern Oklahoma, and especially northern parts of Arkansas, southern part of Missouri, stretching across the rest of the Ohio Valley. And taking a look at the northern end of this system, as we just put this into motion, I just want to show you the training that's going to take place. So yeah, this is outside the severe weather zone. You're still going to get some stronger thunderstorms. Heed those severe thunderstorm watches. But the big story up here, look at this, as we head throughout Friday morning, look at the training going on. This is 7 a.m. So we go from 11 p.m. Thursday night. Look at that. That is a lot of training. So, you're going to get successive amount of storms moving one just right after another to the north there. So outside that severe weather zone, please heed those flash flood warnings and flash flood watches. So let's start at 2 a.m. up here into the Northeast and Ohio Valley. Look at this is the northern part of the system. So most of the day Friday, we're starting at here, we'll stop it at 10 a.m. here, south of Interstate 80 in Pennsylvania and Ohio here. That's mainly where we're going to see the rain on Friday. You're going to dry out here across parts of northern Ohio from Cleveland over to Binghamton, Albany, and Boston. So yeah, you'll dry out, but you'll also be a little bit cooler, about 10 to 15 degrees cooler. So you'll have a northeasterly wind too. But watch as we get into 7 p.m. Friday, 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m. The rain starts to move back in. So this is going to be the second wave, the bigger part of this system. And look what's waiting here just to the southwest. That's right. We've got some big old showers and thunderstorms moving to the northeast here. And look at this. Wow. Yeah, we could see some thunderstorms as far north as Ohio here. So you might see a rumble of thunder in Cleveland. But look at that. Cincinnati down to Lexington. Yeah, this area, we could be looking at some thunderstorms developing here. This is 3 a.m. Saturday morning. Now, let's continue to put your future radar into motion here. Let's see how far we can get here. Yeah, Cleveland, you're going to be getting some heavier rain and embedded thunderstorms by 5 a.m. on Saturday. Now, watch this. You have some northern periphery mixed precipitation and wet snowflakes to start off this northern part of the system. It's not going to be a big deal here in this region, though, because you're quickly going to change over to rain. You see, here is the line of convection here from Erie, Pittsburgh, all the way down to West Virginia. And you're battling this high pressure to the northeast, this cold high. So, yeah, you're going to have some of this area, this low-level cold air where you're going to have snow to sleet, freezing rain, and quickly over to rain. Watch this as we go in time here. So you're starting to dry out in parts of Ohio, Saturday morning. But look at this. 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m. Yeah, this model's kind of hanging the mixed precipitation, for that matter, and wet snowflakes a little longer here in the southern tier of New York, northeast Pennsylvania. Yeah, I could see this happening in the higher elevations, but I think the warm air is going to win out a lot quicker here. We are battling a lot of dry air to the northeast here, and hence that's why you're not seeing the precipitation fill in quite as heavily and quickly here across the northeast. But look at that as we head towards 2 p.m. Saturday. You can see the warm air winning out in places like Binghamton, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. Albany, I think you'll be starting to change over to rain by this point. I don't think you're going to get like heavy accumulations of anything for that matter. Parts of the Adirondacks, White and Green Mountains up here, yeah, you could see, this is where the wintry weather from northern New York, northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire, and then up to Maine. So let's go out here onto the GFS. Let's go out a little bit in time. We'll get past the weekend system here. Actually, let's get rid of our severe weather overlay here. There we go. And we'll get a nice clean map here. So here we go. Yeah, we're starting off. This is the 27th. So this is Monday morning. So yeah, the only thing we really have to talk about here is in the southeast. And we have a waiting system here off the west coast. Let's get rid of our pencil here. There we go. So as we continue in time here, what's going to happen? Well, that western system is going to pinwheel down the coast. This is what they've been doing all winter. They start out here, just in line with the Oregon, California coast, and then they pinwheel their way southwestward. And that's going to bring down, some cold air in interior parts of California and some valley rain. That's a big old circulation there. But you know what? Back east here, it's going to look pretty quiet for the most part until we get towards the end of the week. Look at this is by the 30th, 31st. There's the GFS trending that system. If you remember, the GFS had this system much quicker and over here on the East Coast a couple days ago. So yeah, things are really changing here. As I said, things can really change drastically when you get out, this level, beyond, say 100 and 125 hours. So here we go. Look at that. Yeah, more warm air. Doesn't look like much of a snowstorm here across the east. All right, so we're taking a look at the European model trend here. Let's take a look and see the latest European run. Yeah, there's our weekend system. We're plowing through Friday into Saturday. There is that line of convection moving up into the Ohio Valley Northeast I showed you on the HRRR model. So yeah, 985 millibar low, but by this point, it's pretty much occluding. You're going to get some snow here into northern New England as well. We're going to get into exact snowfall totals to see just how much you're going to be looking at here. But there, that low kind of washes out across southeast Canada. Watch this. Yeah, we have a return flow, and we're going to have to watch for the possibility of strong to severe thunderstorms Monday here across parts of the southeast. And those kind of convect along the, just north of the Gulf Coast for Tuesday. We have our next big system moving in here across the west coast. There it is. We got a system moving up, and take a look at this area. This is the low pressure area that's been developing all winter long. Now, that's probably not going to change anytime soon. You can see we don't have too much at this point. We have this low pressure here along the east coast, but we have a blocking high to the northeast. So you have energy here to the north as well, but there's not going to be no phasing at this point, according to both the GFS and the European model. This keeps it off the coast, and there's that weakness across the northeast. Now, if these two were to come together, yeah, we'd have a big east coast potential early season spring snowstorm, but it's just at this point it's not looking like it's really happening. So as we continue to Thursday the 30th, look at this is where things really get cranking. I told you to watch this area, and there's our low a little bit further to the north, but look at the strong to severe thunderstorms forming probably even further north this time as well, and the Mississippi River Valley as well. Let's continue in time here. Start to get some major organization as the low pressure kind of back builds here towards the southwest, and you're going to start to see some very big, strong thunderstorms here in the parts of southern plains and the Mississippi River Valley. This is by Friday, March 31st, so please keep an eye on this. Severe weather season is full swing here across the south, and it is, you're no stranger to it, but yeah, we're going to see a big old line of convection along this, and it's going to be getting into parts of the Ohio Valley. Look at that. You kind of see a 1-2 punch there. It's almost like a broken record where we see these big lows move to the northeast, pull up some warm air, and then Maine gets snow as well. So taking a look at total liquid equivalent precipitation. Here we go. Let's just take it through. There we go. The weekend for the most part. There we go. So there you have it. The Mississippi and Ohio river valleys, you're going to get over 3 inches. That's the problem. We have flash flood and flood watches in effect. Up here in the northeast, you're going to see about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch on average out of this system. So as we continue into next week, what's the trend showing here? Well, I get that system out west, and then look at this. Yeah, we're going to kind of add on top of areas that already had it here across parts of the Ohio Valley, Mississippi Valley. And then here along the Gulf Coast, we get into that severe weather Monday. So yeah, this is looking pretty interesting. And look at this. in that rain shadow that we've had a lot of the winter in the Northeast, you're going to start to get some of those heavier downpours moving in. And as we get into the Northeast, let's just zoom in. There it is. So the first wave, look at that, southern Ohio, 2 to 2.5 inches. And then we get into Saturday and into the weekend. Look at this. We just add on top of it. So there's going to be flooding problems southwest of Pittsburgh here, southern Ohio. Cleveland, you're going to eke out here with about 3/4 of an inch. Binghamton, about the same here, just under 3/4 of an inch. There's a little rain shadow here across parts of Massachusetts, southern New Hampshire, and down East Maine. But here we go, up to an inch here across parts of Long Island. All right, so let's take a look at nationally snow. That's mostly out west there. We get a burst of snow here north of Chicago. So yeah, we'll have some snow on the northern side there, potentially upwards of 6 to 12 inches. But look at this here, northern New England as well. Northern Maine, potentially close to warning criteria, high in advisory. But yeah, the trend here as we go through April Fool's Day, look at this. It's just going to continue more of the same. These storms are going to pinwheel down the coast, and then they're going to get that redevelopment here in the Intermountain West, and they're going to rocket up to the Northeast here and push all this warm air to the Northeast. And as we take a look at snowfall amounts here, so here we go. Yeah, it's not going to be anything to write home about unless you're up here into Northern Maine. This is where you could see you'd approach the warning criteria. But I think most of you at this point, parts of the Adirondacks, parts of Northern Vermont and New Hampshire, you might see advisory criteria, particularly above 1,600 feet. But in all honesty, this isn't anything like tremendously major at this point. And if we take a look at HRRR snowfall amounts here, yeah, we really can't get too far out, but I did want to show you the initial snow burst that could happen Saturday morning across parts of northeast Pennsylvania, southern tier of New York, Catskills area. So maybe up to a slushy inch, especially above 1,200 feet. All right, so we're going to start off first with the temperature anomalies here. I like to take a look at this, especially this time of year as we go into, deeper into spring here. So the west is going to remain really cold. Look at back east here, very warm. We're getting on the order of 10 degrees, 5 to 10 degrees above average. Out west, a negative 10 below average here. Not 10 below zero. Look at that. That strengthens to 20 degrees below average. Look at that. And look at the warm surging across the east as we head into the weekend. You're going to be some 15 degrees above average here. Look at that. And that cold pool of air continues to blast out west here. Take a look at that. We don't really cool down much back here across the east. It's part of the plains and the west with these systems that pinwheel from the Gulf of Alaska. Let's get that out of the way. Down the coastline here. And as you get here into the southeast, you're going to remain much warmer above average here. Look at that. Yeah, we get a little cold spell right around the 30th, 31st here to the northeast. It's a little cold blast, but look at the warm air to return back east for April Fool's Day. Look at that. And that pinwheels behind it. We have some cold air. So temperatures. Here are your temperatures. There you can see where that frontal boundary is. It's still actually not too bad to the north in the 40s. But look at there across the southeast. You're near 90 or eclipsing it in parts of Florida and South Texas. It's crazy warm. As we head towards Saturday here, look at this. That warm surge on the east end pushes up into Ohio, western Pennsylvania, where you get well into the 60s to near 70. And baking across the southeast. But watch this as we head into Sunday here. Yeah, actually, those are mins. So here we go. Here's your maxes on Sunday. It's actually surging behind the system here. We get back into the 50s here across parts of the northeast as we head into Monday here. Take a look at this. Yeah, it's a little bit of a cool down. Cool air here in the northern plains. It's going to start cooling down out west. Florida's just continuing to bake here. But look at this. As we head towards Tuesday, we push the temperatures down a little bit into the northeast, so you're staying in the 40s. But, this is seasonable for this time of year. And look at this across the southeast. You are just continuing to bake. And take a look at Wednesday. There's not much change. Extended outlook from hometown viewers, Binghamton, Scranton's upper Susquehanna Valley. Take a look at this. Friday, mostly cloudy, 45 degrees. You'll be north of the front, so you have a northeast wind. It'll feel a little cooler. But look at this. Friday night, the clouds really start rolling in. We'll have some snow by morning. Wet slushy accumulation up to an inch above 1,200 feet. But we'll quickly change over to rain, a half an inch. Winds will start gusting out of the southwest at 35 miles per hour. So it's going to get kind of crazy into Saturday night. The winds will be howling into Sunday. You get the sun breaking out Sunday, 53, but look at that. Monday, sunny, and Tuesday, a chance of showers. Thanks for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather Northeastern and Weather Eastern. Don't forget Facebook MeteoMark, Weather Northeastern, also Hurricane Northeastern, at Susquehanna Weather for my local page. And guess what? MeteoMark.com, WeatherNortheastern.com is Twitter, at Weather Eastern. Don't forget, question or comment down below. Smash that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell button, share the video, and thanks for joining me.